Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Koyomimonogatari. Tonight we're on episode 1 of Koyomimonogatari. Let me just real quick, we're gonna get into the talk plan. Let's talk about what's happening, okay? So we can I can sate your nervous little nerves and get them a bit calmed. So the plan, let me first, so apparently this was a big branch point for, this was another, watch order branch point, friggin' story game. Oh, you're gonna go left path, you're gonna go right path, it's one of those, your YouTube dislike ratio will remember this. It's one of those kind of moments, right? So we're doing, after Tsuki, we're doing Koyomi. Apparently, I think Owari is the name of the other one that was the option. Reasoning for doing Tsuki, pretty much we've already been doing light novel order. So it's kind of just a continuation of that. And so reasons why are just the same reasons from back then, right? Like original author's intent. I'm in the nature of the order of the stories matters in how, not even the inner following of the stories, but the order of them is a story itself of how Araragi's telling us everything. Blah 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 blah, right? Maybe it's not the best order, maybe it is the best order. I don't really care. I'm just gonna doing what I think makes the most sense for my experience with Monogatari, right? Yeah, original author's intent just feels right, and it's as much as it's Niso-sin or whatever that the person that wrote it that made the order, it almost feels like Araragi made the order too, it's I want to listen to my boy Araragi, but yeah, that's, I don't know, maybe that's just me tripping. But yeah, so for this, so that's that, whatever. If y'all want to argue at it, or y'all want to argue with me about it, you want to dislike the video, hey, y'all got the power. Don't dislike the video though. Don't dislike. I know you have the power, but maybe hit the like button instead. It's right next to it. Nah, but yeah. So that's that. What's next on the freaking list? I have an entire categorized list in my head of points to try to hit. Next on the list, Koyomi. So Koyomi's a bunch of half episodes. As for doing them one or two at a time, we're gonna start with doing it one at a time. We might kick it up to two at a time. But at least this first one I want to do one at a time, just because that's what we've been doing. If it ends up kind of being I want to watch more at a time, then we'll kick it up a gear. But at least for this first one, we'll do it one at a time. We're also, so I have a Google Drive that has the chapter ones for each of the episodes, that got cut out of the episodes. And what I mean by that is in the episodes, apparently all the episodes start at chapter 2. And so I have all the chapter 1s. And so before each episode, we're going to read the chapter 1 is the idea. I have no idea what's in those or why they were cut, so I'm honestly just flying by the seat of my pants on that one. Maybe it sounds cool and people just recommended it, so I'm okay, why not? Bet. But yeah, so that's the plan there. And yeah, last thing was Suki. Let me just get the comments on the screen. I've been sitting in these comments for a minute. Not gonna lie, it's been a freaking time. It's been a time to be me. First off, the whiteboard, I had mixed up freaking Ononoki and Kagenui's names because it was the Yotsugi Yozuru. I think I just flipped them, which is, obviously screwed up our freaking chemical formula. And so the real thing should have been Ononoki equals Kagenui / Shidatsuru, which is and somebody described in the Discord as Ononoki is it's the two parents of Kagenui Tadatsuru, and Kagenui is on top of the equation because Kagenui is the one that was chosen over Tadatsuru, that kind of thing, which is pretty sick. But yeah, so that's just fumbled that it is what it is. I blame Kagenui for having Ononoki have such a similar name to her. I get how that's familiars. I get that's how familiars work, but excuse me, it's hard to follow. Okay, but no, yeah, so that's cool. Got that good. The freaking Tadatsuru guy, I thought this is just so funny to me. Shows up to kidnap bro's loved one, says a bunch of shit that makes no sense. Just go find Oshino, lol, refuses to elaborate further. Dies. It's just true. It's literally, I feel this is almost this, so many characters are like this. Shows up randomly, says a bunch of nonsense, says one line that's important, and then dies. It's what the, can we just, yeah. It's just so true. Especially the refuses to elaborate further. It's can we just... Literally, even Araragi was dog, can you just explain it to me, clearly? He, even begged for a second of, to avoid the riddles, which is literally me with the show every single moment of my existence. So yeah, so true. Small note about Valentine's Day is Women give their loved ones chocolate. Men don't give anything back until 2 weeks later on White Day, and then they give white chocolate back to whoever they got chocolate from. That's adorable. That's really cute. Honestly, I wish that's how it worked everywhere. That sounds OP. I like that idea. Dang, I'd be rolling in that chocolate. For real. I'd be like, hey, I don't have enough white chocolate. Who do I give it to? Okay, I'll stop. But yeah, that's cool. That was obviously something that happened with Senjugahara. We are, by the way, drinking just straight up water. Who is this guy? He's drinking. What is that? Water? I never heard of her. You can have a sip. Glug, 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 glug. My turn. Yeah, you know, Monogatari's taking a toll on me if I'm switching to water. Okay. So yeah, lots of stuff in here. So, off the top rope, the Araragi feelings of being a pawn in a stage play, I think that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense to me for sure. Because I mean that was like with Gaon as a character, she's been very like a knows everything mastermind type thing, and obviously there's resentment like towards her from a lot of the characters, so that's already, you know, defined in the whole kind of being a pawn idea. And then more specifically, this really, I mean, in watching it and looking back, it's just like especially with Ononoki at the end after she kills Tadatsuru, it's like it feels like a lesson is just trying, like someone's trying to teach Araragi a lesson, and it's so obvious and it's so painfully obvious, and then Araragi's just like, guess that's the lesson of the story. Like, no, you know? So, it's funny, because on, like, one level, it's like, Ononoki, and this is what I've been trying to tangle in my head, is Ononoki versus Ogi in my noggin, bro. Like, what did Ogi plan exactly? Did Ogi just, like, is Ogi, like, I don't know. Because it's like, Ogi arranged this situation and puppet mastered it, right? But did Ogi puppet master Ononoki to kill Tadatsuru to show Araragi the whole, like, this is what a monster is? Was that Ogi plan? Or was Ogi plan for Araragi to either be killed or get forced by Shinobu into going sicko mode? Because, like, the really, the different routes that could have come out of last episode in Tsuki is either Ononoki kills Tadatsuru, or Tadatsuru swings on Araragi and Shinobu bites Araragi and accelerates him down the freaking path that was laid out, right? So it's either Tadatsuru dies by Ononoki's hands or Tadatsuru dies by Shinobu's hands. And so it's, you know, it's either Araragi gets distance from Ononoki in a sense and like sees you later said as like uncomfortable truth of Ononoki, and is like forced to reconcile like some stuff with Ononoki, or he doubles down or is forced to double down in the structure of how it goes on Shinobu and like the whole vampirism, you know, thing. So, but like, what did Ogi want to happen, right? That's where I'm so unsure, because I don't know. Because on one hand, I want to say Ogi wants Araragi to, it's punish liars, right? So it's like Ononoki or Ogi wants Araragi to stop lying to himself that he's human. That's an idea. So it's like, because I think Ogi's connected to Araragi and probably in a deeper sense, right? So I'm thinking like Araragi, on one hand, is happy to is in this state of this precarious balance between human and monster, right, with this whole like half vampire thing, right? But on some level that doesn't fit into the oddity, human, black, white, justice, good, you know, it doesn't fit into the traffic lanes very well, right? So Ogi comes in to rectify the situation and clean it up and force people into the standards, to make things proper, to literally use Ogi's verbiage. And so it makes me think like maybe Ogi wanted Araragi to go deeper down the vampire path with Shinobu, because that was like a thing that what could have happened, but then didn't happen because of Ononoki, and Ononoki is part of Team Gaon, and Gaon knows everything. So I don't want to say that whatever Ononoki does is necessarily something that Ogi wants, because it's like, nah, I mean, Gaon knows that, like, you know. So I feel like Ononoki, like, I don't think Ogi necessarily has power over Ononoki like that, or at least can like foresee what's going to happen with Ononoki. You know, I feel like Gon would be too strong to like counter that. So that kind of is like a thing. But then it's like, okay, maybe Ogi wants... So maybe Ogi's trying to make things proper by forcing Araragi to go down, you know, sicko mode, freaking vampire route, right? And maybe there's also a layer of Ogi wants Araragi to die because Araragi wants Araragi to die. And so a situation is concocted in which he can't use vampirism as a shield and has an opportunity to self-sacrifice. And so Ogi has constructed this to give Araragi a way to die. So Ogi could be like Araragi's death drive, driven by him not living up to his own expectations of justice. That's another route as well that I really like. And then there's also maybe like an idea of... Because, man, imagine that, of like things being proper is Araragi being dead, if that's what Ogi means by things being proper. Yeah. Because for Araragi to say that Ogi's the mastermind, because Araragi doesn't even say that, that's what Ononoki says, but like, they straight up say that, you know, which is something that I've been like, I feel like I've been losing years of my lifespan getting to that point of Ogi's pushing people into traffic, Ogi's the one making these moves, Ogi's the one behind, but you know, I feel like that's taken years of my lifespan to consider, like, to go over in my brain, and then freaking Ononoki just says it, so it's like, damn, maybe, like, is that really what's happening anymore? Because it's like, does Ogi simply just want to take away Ononoki from Araragi because Araragi doesn't think that he deserves Ononoki, and so Ogi comes in to take that away, you know, very fitting with the whole darkness thing? I mean, maybe, like, that kind of lines up with everything that we've been going with, I feel like. But the issue isn't that Ogi's the mastermind, it's that why is Ogi the mastermind? Why does Ogi want this? Where in reality, it's a deeper level of Araragi that's causing these issues. So, like, that would be the thing there. Let me just go back to the comment. I'm going to lose my mind here. Okay. Bling blang, bloom blang, where are we? Ding 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 ding. But in the end, okay. Ononoki represents feelings of being a pawn, right? She's a doll, boom, bang, easy clap. But in the end, Ononoki broke out of the role because she did something she wasn't supposed to. Well, in the end, Ononoki broke out of the role she was assigned to show him what being a true monster really means, contrary to her insistence that killing is human. This also stun locked me for a while. Show him what a true monster really means. That's like, yeah. I'm pulling up the episode. Frick it. What did she say here? Ononoki's like, I killed him. I killed the guy. It's what I do. You don't need to worry about this, Devil Brother. I did this on my own. You told me not to do it, Devil Brother, but I went against you and did it on my own. Yeah, so it's like, dude, she's saying, like, I'm not a pawn. I'm not your pawn. I went against you. But I can't tell, is she still a pawn to Gon in this instance? Like, the whole, like, because it could be kind of a thing of, like, he's projecting his, I feel I'm just at the whims of fate. If that's what he feels, and he feels like he's getting externally pushed on by, like, justice, by all this stuff, and he's just along for the ride, and he's losing people, blah, blah, blah. If that's how he feels, and he projects that onto Ononoki, then this could be Ononoki saying, that ain't me, dog. Like, I might be a doll, but I went against you and did it on my own, which defeats, it's like it defeats that idea. Like, it could be that. That's wrong, Devil Boy. I'm sure if the intention was to protect or save, there was a way to spare him. But my intention was to kill. Because I'm the bloodthirster. Mm-hmm. Because I'm a monster. But no, she boils it down to, your boy's a monster. Your girl's a monster. Don't end up like this. Yeah, literally she boils it down to it being a lesson of, this is what monsters do. And I'm a monster. Don't be a monster. They lose their humanity, right? Their humanity ends. Why is she contradicting herself, man? Going back to the comments. Why is she contradicting herself? That's what's killing me. Because she says killing is human, right? And then she goes out and says, she kills someone and says, because I'm a monster, I killed him when I could have spared him. But, like, why would you, you know, like, that's literally crazy. Ononoki, I'm gonna kill her. She's already dead. I'm gonna kill her again. I don't, like, you know? It's so cognitively dissonant for me. Because it's, you, like, dude, like, killing is human. I agree. People are evil. You don't lose your humanity by being evil. Araragi, that's what you gotta realize. That you gotta detach morality and humanity. That's one of your lessons, okay? And so, yeah. But why, but then she's like, don't be a monster. I'm a monster, don't be a monster. Is it almost like her just like acquiescing and just like compromising to a sense? It could be like a compromising thing where it's like, as much as she... What happened? Whoa! Okay, as much as she, as much as she believes that killing is human, she is so desperate to get Araragi to not go down and be a monster. She's so desperate for Araragi to protect the humanity that he thinks he has left. Because I do think it is a very largely self-perspective. But she's so desperate for that she then is like, fine, he thinks killing is evil, then I'll kill in front of him and say, I'm evil, don't be me, you know? Is that like Ogi trying, or, you know, like, yeah, we'll get back to it. Ononoki thematic rebuttal to Kaiki. Kaiki's speech may have been effective at bringing Nadeko and himself back, but it was very clearly quite naive. Like Ononoki says, ideals like that have their place, but everything you do informs your future decisions. That's what a downward spiral is. Thematic rebuttal of Kaiki's speech to Nadeko. The crazy, like, the thing about that, like, I don't even know what to do. I don't think I can touch that because I think I would overload. Reason being that I immediately, when I'm thinking of Kaiki's speech to Nadeko in whatever that arc was called, that wasn't something Araragi told us about. So, like, I don't even, I guess, like, it's it being a thematic rebuttal, it's like, yes, but not one that Araragi as the storyteller is telling us, right? Because he didn't tell that last story. Or how aware, as a storyteller, how aware is Araragi of the other stories that have been told? Because if he's aware of them and, like, is willing to bounce off of them, then, and which he very well might be, then this could function as like some sort of like deeper insight into Araragi. But if not, then I'm scared to even throw that in, you know? Like, is the stories told by other people something that Araragi is aware of and is happy to bounce off of? Why were they told by other people? Why was Araragi not the narrator there in the story in this monogatari as a whole, you know? That's just where that's my freaking mud in that tire. Or it could be more thematic on just a monogatari level as opposed to an Araragi storyteller level. Like, that's fair. Like, I'm here for that. It's just, you know, I like, if I'm trying to bake everything into Araragi, right? And Ononoki was a big part of both of these, so it could also, you know, that's a thing. That's like a connection, of course. The true monster is also the bearer of uncomfortable truths, which is interesting to me because I almost want to say that that's like almost Ogi's job, but like Ogi, okay. Let's say, I think Ogi, true monsters, uncomfortable truths. It's more like uncomfortable truths that, because like I'm kind of down with this of like Ononoki has been used as a showing, as a unbottling of the deeper stuff within, right? So I mean, Kaiki's the easiest example, where she pulls out all of the stuff about Gaen to Kaiki right before he jumps into the finale with Nadeko, right? And so, and now she was just the bearer, or at least she was supposed to be the bearer of monsters are evil to Araragi. Or like killing, I'm a monster, I kill him, Omega lol, to Araragi. But I don't know if I want to, like, I don't know how much I should prescribe that to Ononoki, because this was all done as like a story, as like a stage play, as it was all cast, right? So if everything's cast, then I don't even know if those words from Ononoki are something that I should give to Ononoki or give to someone else. And like I guess it can apply to both. Like it is true that she kind of says it how it is, you know. Yeah, you know. So yeah. Do you kind of get what I'm going for there? We're gonna not make it out of this show alive. We're not gonna make it out of this show in one piece, bro. We're gonna shatter, bro. Like porcelain. I'm about to be a porcelain pot. Yeah, bammed on the ground. There are many people who cope with their own laziness of thought by trying to convince you that you should be lazy too and dismiss the meta layer as mere opinion. That's not how it works. This I want to do push back a little bit on this of just like I don't think it's wrong for people to dismiss the meta layer or whatever. Because like if somebody like at the end of the day it's like if someone get like this is a really interesting crazy multi-leveled story in a lot of different ways and there's a lot of different ways that people can approach it, you know. So I don't want to like say that like oh you approach it a different way like I smite you, you know. I don't want to say that. And even if it's less of that and more of a just like if you want to make it into like a laziness of thought thing, I don't even want to like say like to enjoy this story you have to put in a certain level of thought or else like you're lazy and you're cringe and that's not how it works, you know. Like I don't know, I'm a lot more like people will get what they want to get, like what they can out of the show, and not everybody has the mental acuity or ability or like the circumstance in life to dedicate a lot of thought to monogatari, right? Like maybe you just straight up that's not how your brain functions and that's not you don't like going into that realm and there's other parts of the show that you want to like dissect and enjoy, then like enjoy it, like speak your truth, you know. Or you know, like if I was watching this show in a lot of different ways, you know, like not in this way that I'm watching as like, you know, reacting, then like I don't think I would be going nearly as deep into a lot of this stuff. I would be taking it a lot more just as it comes. And I don't think that's wrong, you know. Yeah, it's just different. There's different ways to approach the show for a lot of different people. And I think there's a lot to be gained, and so there can feel like there's a loss if somebody were to like just kind of blow this like a lot of these ideas away. Like I think there would be like a loss there, sure. But you know, there let them like we can tell like hey, there's some cool ideas here, but if they don't want to hear them, then like they don't want to hear them. But it's also not like it's also it's more of like there's some cool, I like it as like a positing of thought, like here's some cool thoughts because you know there's some cool stuff in here for sure, and like all the different comments and all the different people talking, but it's I never want to like bring the hammer down on people for like having different interpretations of a work, you know, like disagree sure, but I don't know, I don't want to be too like hardline on that, but that's less even about monogatari and more about just like the nature of consuming media. So kind of besides the point, but just a little thing there. Obviously, you're only getting some of the red X's without all. Well, meta-analysis is done by triangulation until you have so many points going in the same direction that coincidence is a statistical impossibility. Obviously, you're only getting some of the red X's without all the work. How else could it be an ongoing reaction? Add the fact of things that you don't. Add the fact of finding things you don't like on top of that, and that's how you eliminate bias. And then we just jump into panty talk. Okay, bet. The panty thing is interesting to me because I like this interpretation is interesting of like Araragi flips her skirt or whatever and tries to like get a glimpse at like the truth there, and he doesn't show it to us, the audience, right? I literally took us, and people called me out as being oh, I see what you're doing here. No, the reason that I went back and was like, can we actually tell what kind of panties she's wearing? Like, because I did, right? I went frame by frame to try to analyze her panties. And I'm proud of it! Okay? No, I'm not. Let's calm down. But, a demon came out for a second there. That was Araragi within me screaming. No. Yeah, like, why didn't we get to see that, right? Like, that's an interesting question. So, and I think, like, it's not even necessarily that he tries to gloss over, like, he does gloss over it with, like, verbally, like, kind of saying, like, that don't match your character, not really, like, describing it to us. But, like, in what we're actually seeing, I mean, he is staring for so long at her underside, right? That is literally, like, he's got, like, I like the idea that he has no idea what he's looking at, you know? That he doesn't understand the true nature of Ononoki and all these, like, and kind of what she represents and such, because we, represented as true monster, things deepest within, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. So for him to not understand it, and not even, like, not understand it, but to just be staring and just being, like, for so long. Because I think the length of how long he was looking is indicative of he was trying to figure out what was going on and had no idea, so he was just trying to parse it through his head as he was staring, That's kind of the way I took it. But yeah, I do like that idea. Where are we? What's happening? We're not allowed to ad-lib. The only one who could ad-lib, parentheses, break out of the mold set by Araragi's story structure, end parentheses, with Araragi's innocence, his childish indulgence, his only break from the shackles he put on himself, or was it his parents, or was it the world, who knows? The only one who could ad-lib was Araragi's innocence? You mean Hachikuji, surely, right? Like, childish yeah. Hachikuji's such an interesting thing. I feel like Hachikuji's like a two-typed character, where it's like on one level representative of like it's like a divine child kind of thing. That's the way I take it of like an intuition and a genius that is stamped out of people as they grow up, right? Like there is like a certain level of like genius in a child. That's kind of how I see Hachikuji. And so, like, he's holding on to that, right? So, I don't know. I'm not entirely, like, who or who not's ad-libbing is just a crazy question to even ask. Because then we have to figure out what Araragi's story structure is to figure out who's trying to break out of that and who is successful in breaking out of that. Because, like, the only one who could or could not ad-lib, like, has Oshino ad-libbed? Has Kaiki ad-libbed? Ogi? Well, because I feel like Ogi's even part of, like, the plays here. Or, like, Hachiku, So I don't want to say I don't even know who the only one could be, because that's just a really big question. This was the only break from the shackles he puts on himself, or was it his parents, or was it the world? Who knows? All of the above is my answer. That's the best I got. When Araragi ends an arc by already explaining what it means, that's a red flag that should make you question everything. He made Ononoki say Ogi is the mastermind, but in the context of his story, he just goes, I didn't hear what you said. It's true, and it's crazy that he does that. Is that kind of an example of, like, the cognitive dissonance, where it's, like, he says Ogi's the mastermind, or, like, Ononoki says Ogi's the mastermind, and then Araragi ignores it, and it's, like, a showing of, like, as much on one level as Araragi can realize that Ogi's the mastermind, Araragi also isn't willing to, like, consciously accept that. But why? Why wouldn't you accept that? Why would you ignore that? Well, I didn't hear what you said. Well, maybe it's a showing from narrator Araragi, of like how he was not willing to hear, or perhaps ignorant. Maybe it's more a showing of ignorance and non-willingness to hear than it is anything else. Final shot is him back in the endless tug-of-war between human and monster self, Karen and Tsukihi, while seemingly focused on the true monster, Ononoki. The result of, quote, what he learned, end quote, but incoherently combined with the status quo he wanted, the definition of having your cake and eating it too. Crazy line. I'm like, yeah, because it is a very interesting shot of just the pull both directions, and he's like looking at, because he's like reaching out for Ononoki, trying to like figure that out and parse into that. Because she says, like, we're told we're supposed to stick together, right? And so and when he's reaching out to her, I mean, on one hand, I'm thinking, like, maybe he's, like, trying to understand her more, but on another hand, it could even be, like, a no, like, maybe he's trying to say no, right? Of, like, no, I've seen you kill someone, I can't have you here anymore, but then he's forced to, forced to let her in a sense. Like, what is his exact, I'm losing it. Skip. Next. We're fast forwarding through my own dialogue. Okay, bet. Yeah. The result of what he learned, but the definition of having your cake and eating it too. That makes me think of, like, maybe he wants to be in the balance of human and monster self, right? Where he wants to be half monster because he kind of gets to, because it's like, new interpretation just dropped of Ogi. What if, I'm just going to throw this in here, because F it, we ball. What if Ogi is the personification that, or like the creation, let's say, the creation that Araragi has subconsciously made, that basically hurts people so that Araragi can fix them, so that in doing so, Araragi can feel like he's being the hero and like feel like he's doing, doing humanistic things, to distract himself from the real issues, right? Of like the thing that's caused him to do this in the first place, his sense of justice and all that kind of stuff, right? So in that way, it would be like Ogi is going and like making problems happen, and then Araragi is the one to fix those problems, right? Which, yeah. So it'd be, like Araragi is the one throwing things out of balance to be the one to put it into balance, and also maybe as like a projection of how inwardly imbalanced he is. So on a subconscious level, Ogi is a force that imbalances the area around him. So like, like that could be a thing. In before Ogi was in Bake. In before, there's like one shot in Bake that you can see Ogi just in the background just staring, okay? In before, that's a thing, She's been here the entire time. Woo! Yeah. So like in that way, like the endless tug of war between human and monster self could be the definition of having your cake and eating it too. Like maybe that's like a thing we can kind of try to do. In which case Ogi is like the distraction Araragi uses, because I feel like that's even like because it's like I like the idea that Ogi's like a self-flagellating too. Well, can self-flagellation and this idea both work at the same time? Because what if we went with the idea of like Ogi is, that's the title of my new novella. Ogi is the self-flagellating, the self-whipping, the self-punishment that Araragi does on himself, but also his escape hatch to avoid himself. Whereas he's punishing himself, trying to self-sacrifice himself, hurting himself to save other people, that kind of thing. He's punishing himself as a way to feel better, to avoid issues. So it's almost like an intricate form. It's like almost like an intricate self-harm, but not physically, but like emotionally, Maybe that's what Ogi is. You get what I mean? Just a thought. Where am I? Is it really her true self, or did she just do what was given best by the situation? Is it Ononoki? Are we talking about Ononoki? In the context of the story, trying to make him see Ononoki for what she really is could be interpreted as trying to wake him up, but he's the one who forced her into that position in the first place. Well, no, but is he the one that forced her in that position? I guess he asked for help on one level, but like, in the context of the story, trying to make him see Ononoki for what she really is could be interpreted as trying to wake him up. But he's the one who forced her into that position in the first place. Is it really her true self, or did she just do what was best given the situation? Was the perception of her that he, quote, woke up to how he really wanted to see her all along? He's the one who forced her into that position in the first place? Perhaps. But, like, was it, like, to what degree? Because there's so many puppet masters. Is he trying to, or is it, like, the idea that he kind of had this situation develop and is like, trying to kind of blame Ogi on another layer, which would kind of fit into like using her as a distraction, as Ogi as like a distraction, or like a, a rationalization for like itself, blah blah blah. On the meta layer, taking the true monster away from him means preventing him from confronting and dealing with it, pushing him more towards the fake monster, the thing he fears desiring. So Koyomimonogatari is next. Yeah, and we talked about how we're gonna approach that at the beginning. Taking the true monster away from him means preventing him from confronting and dealing with it, pushing more towards the fake monster, the thing he fears desiring. Yeah, because Shinobu, as Kiss Shot, was straight up chewing on that guy's face back in Kizu, and he was like, oh, dang, that crazy to me. Yeah. Let's just keep going. I could be stuck here for a millennia. Let me eat a drink of water. We're gonna make it. Ononoki. From what I've seen from your reactions and discussions, you're all about them extroverted, expressive, energetic girls, Genki type. Ononoki's the opposite Kudere. She's not exactly quiet enough as this type requires, but still. Remember you said once that she's emotionless. I like this. Okay, so basically I agree with this, and I think this is pogged. That Ononoki has emotions and understanding of people's feelings, but in her case, she understands feelings and emotions but can't express them. but not because she doesn't want to. She does, and it results in all these weird quirks that she displays, her gestures and catchphrases. Honestly, it's pretty relatable if you think about it. Like a socially awkward person who tries to look cool but coming off as goofy. I really do love me some Ononoki. Yeah, I think this is pretty true. Like, and where she does, it's like, it's crazy. I almost feel like that's a deeper saying into like the projection of Aragi or something, where, or like the, because like, okay, because at the beginning of Koyomi, she was used as like a, oh, she's a doll and she's trying to like, and her acting human like is not her actually wanting to be human, but just her making herself able to interact with humans. So the question of the emotions in that case is, does she not have emotions but fakes emotions to act more human? Not really. I wouldn't really say that. I do like the idea that, like, yeah, she feels things, but she, like, I really like this proverb of she's like a dog, understands everything but can't say anything, right? Like high wisdom, no charisma. She has no charisma, but to use D&D terminology. Yeah. I like this read of her. I do like this read of her. This is also really interesting to me here. If you start looking for more analogies to reality, then you can come up with something like Tadatsu and Yozuru were Ononoki's parents who got divorced and were fighting for parental rights. Things like that can be very traumatic for a kid, so it's not far-fetched for such a kid to grow up as a bit dead inside with closed-off emotions and then trying all their life to learn how to emote. Here it is, Ononoki Yotsugi. Especially if you think of oddities as representations of mental illnesses or just some emotional damages and cracks in the hearts and minds. I like that a lot. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Which makes, and what that immediately makes me do is, because think about it, if Ononoki is kind of the child of Tadatsu and Yozuru, and on like a bigger scale of like all the college students, you know, all the specialists, but specifically Tadatsu and Yozuru was like the freaking custody battle, if we're going to use this terminology. So, but then what happens? Ononoki kills her father figure. He kills Tadatsu, right? Chooses the mother over the father. I almost want to like point it back at Aragi. Right? Because I feel like there's and maybe it's completely crack, and it probably is at this point. I'm, you know, based on just how people have responded to the idea, but I'm gonna talk about it anyways. Of like, perhaps kind of in the same way that like I've wanted to maybe say that Oshino has some sort of like analogy type figure to the person we don't know of Araragi's dad. Perhaps this is like another analogy of that, right? Where the mother is chosen over the dad in some way. I don't know. I feel like there's potentially cool stuff. Like that's something I'm going to have in my back pocket for once we actually figure out more stuff about Araragi's parents, you know? This is a back pocket kind of thing. But no, yeah, and I think that's a really good, like if used in this way, it does work as a very like solid analogy, for the results of that kind of situation for a kid growing up. Especially I think the trying all their life to learn how to emote, I think that really hits it. That really hits it in the gut. Bing! We're gonna give that a heart even. Yeah. So I do like that a lot. Yeah. And I am all about, in terms of like, yeah, just for one thing on this, of like, I'm all about that extroverted, expressive, energetic girls. Because that's just like, my favorite type of person is somebody that's like, very alive, right? But you can do it in your own, like even, I like Kaiki a lot too, and because I mean, I think of the line of like, he tried so hard to like, make his life non-lively. That's like something Senju said last episode. So like, but like, he is in his own way living very strongly. So like, the people that are very repressed and very, like, emotionless or esque is like not usually, and it's not even just like, it's more just like my type and like what I enjoy watching, as opposed to like anything, you know, crazy. Because yeah, I am all about that. But yeah, I mean, even Senjo has grown on me a ton, in recent arcs, and even Ononoki like is starting to grow on me more for sure. It's just what like naturally I enjoy the most is like the loud stuff in your face kind of thing, you know. Even Kaiki had to grow on me a little bit, you know. We can see that through the tier lists. So. But yeah, so, true. Good read on me. Holy crap, we're analyzing the reactor. Okay. The Araragi ending monologue. I've literally read this like 30 times. What kind of story? Story where I can understand my head, but I can't help but see her in a different light, feeling instinctive disgust. The enemy's objective must have been to cause a split between me and Ononoki, as we've come to have a reasonable amount of friendship. The objective of the darkness. Literally, you're trying to connect Ogi in the darkness? That's what I just did! Why are you now trying to do it, Araragi? You can't do that to me, man. I literally have been suffering. I have been fighting tooth and nail to connect Ogi to darkness. I have yapped about that for many, many minutes, probably hours. So for him to come in and say it, of the objective of the darkness, who of which was described as Ogi is the freaking one reading the situation, or like Ogi's the mastermind, and then objective of the darkness. No, you're not allowed to connect Ogi in the darkness. That's what I did. You're not allowed to just come in and do that. Show Araragi. I swear, if I ever see Araragi in real life, I'm punching him. I'm knocking his jaw off. Do you know what I've sacrificed? Okay. The Spider-Man reference, man. Yeah. Following Hachikuji, it took Ononoki away from me. Is the issue that he doesn't recognize that he's taking those things away from himself, and that he's attributing it to fate? He's not taking Araragi doesn't take responsibility for himself. That's the crazy thing. He puts it on other people, right? He puts it on freaking his like, he doesn't take responsibility for, like, himself in, like, a taking care of himself way, because he's always trying to die. And then he doesn't take responsibility for, like, his view. Like, this comment really gets into it, of this kind of how he sees the situation so twisted, like the moral of the story, that he's been tricked into witnessing the true nature of the monster that Ononoki is, and how he can never look at her the same. It's like it's all so outside of him, when in reality he's the one making those judgments. It lacks so much introspection. Exactly. So instead of taking the responsibility of introspecting into his own character, he's making it into, like, this is fate. How I feel is because of how I've been molded. No, dog. Sure, like, freaking nature, nurture, whatever. Like, you are the result of your surroundings in so many ways, but also you're the result of yourself. Like, you still have so much self-control, you know? On one hand, as much as, like, somebody, and that gets into something even greater than Monogatari, like, a bigger thing of, like, yeah, I know that people are are created by their situations, but I don't really care. Like, okay, like, you know, like, that sucks. And so, like, if your situation forms you into being a horrible person, you're still a horrible person. Fix it, or I'm gonna kill you with a rock. Like, you know? So, the acting on the way, or, like, making it, like, not his own fault is something that is, like, something I'm very against. I'm very against what Araragi's doing in this, like, lacking introspection way. Because it's like, yeah, he's, like, saying, like, I'm losing these things because it's being taken from me by the darkness, which is Ogi. So he's not recognizing that he's, like, cutting his, like, in the same way that Black Hanakawa was, like, a cut off part of Hanakawa. He's, like, cut off his introspection into Ogi. And then, but Ogi's been maladapted with all this, like, punishment and I enjoy your pain type thing, because of how poorly Araragi sees himself and how much he hates himself because of his ideals. And I think it's because of his ideals and his lack of ability to line up to him, because they're unrealistic. But, like, who even knows, like, every reason he hates himself? Because there's probably a lot. At 1:45:37, crazy that the timestamps are this big, and they're gonna be this big for this episode too. You asked if Araragi has even changed. I don't think so. Here's my interpretation. This arc doesn't show us a change of him. It showed us something else. The pressure, the suffocating, the alarm clock, the themes, the music, screaming, you need to change, everything's off. As we've gone through the series, more and more cracks in his world have been showing up, starting with his having to accept his sister despite her being a monster in Nisei. Now here he's having to deal with a similar thing again, of being forced to accept Ononoki despite seeing her as a monster. So it's not even just because he's willing to accept monster, he's willing to accept oddity, if we're kind of, you know, connecting the two, of like, oh, Tsuki, you know, or Tsukihi, yeah, she's an oddity, but I'm still going to accept her because she's family. Now he's having to accept this is a oddity who also is doing evil actions. So he's forced to reconcile, like, he can't just disconnect those things. But the thing with oddities, it's not even that black and white, like, dog, you know? Like, Tsukihi's not gonna kill anybody. Tsukihi's not doing anything wrong. She's just an oddity doing her thing, living her life, man. And so it is fundamentally different than Ononoki. So on one level, while it is dealing with a similar thing, it's also so markedly different, which is why it's so crazy to me that freaking Ononoki contradicts herself, right? That she shows him what a true monster really is, but then also is like not, going against that stuff. But yeah, so true, basically. A story meant for me to see. What an egoistic way to view the world, right? That it's like that. Like, is it egoism there? Is it like it was meant for me to see? Like the situation was made for me, but it really was. I think. Am I narcissistic, or is the world truly about me? A story meant for me to see. Because you wrote the story, because you caused Ogi to cause this thing, because you're so self-focused on how you want to be the hero. It's not actually about other people. Right? That's it. Period. I'm done. Moving on. Ogi. Bro, me being scared of Ogi is me being scared of Araragi, and since I am Araragi, that means I'm scared of myself, bro. Whoa, bro. Oh, shit. Okay. The origami Tadatsu makes is called Yakako origami. Supposed to be a figure of a samurai. If you look deeper, it ties into the idea of Koyomimonogatari. Oh my goodness. I mean, Ononoki existence explained as a particular form of immortal at the start of Kabuki, but I digress. Yako is a form of servitude that relates to his forced position. Yeah, where it's like the doll, like the forced position. Araragi feels himself to be in a forced position at the whims of fate, at the whims of God, and at the whims of the thing around him, instead of taking responsibility for himself, kind of thing. And taking responsibility for Ogi at this point. Let's throw that in there too. I like to think, in addition, the cross Ononoki, Kagenui, and Tadatsu, their connection is symbolic to Yako. Ononoki is a slave to do bidding of the exorcists. At the same time, they're responsible for Ononoki is a shikigami, a slave to do the bidding of Onmyonji, exorcist, which is what Kagenui and Tadatsu are. At the same time, they're responsible for Ononoki. It's reminiscent to parents and children. This I really like. This family is not entirely new subtext either. Subtext. Kagenui and Ononoki are sort of the opposing sisters in Tsukihi Phoenix against Koyomi and Tsukihi. And now in some ways, the Araragi family adopts Ononoki because it becomes Tsukihi's doll. That's crazy to me. What does this mean? Kagenui and Ononoki are sort of the opposing sisters in Tsukihi Phoenix against Koyomi and Tsukihi. I gotta read it again. Kagenui Ononoki against Koyomi and Tsukihi. Okay. But now we've adopted Ononoki. It's crazy that I think that's so true. I think it really is crazy that, yeah, the sisters now have the doll, and it's like she's part of the family, and like, as in a weird way. So it's like, after all that effort because we got all this information of Ononoki having to choose between Tadatsu and Kagenui, and then immediately Ononoki goes to Araragi instead of going back to Kagenui. Like, that's kind of crazy to me. And then we've adopted like this vessel of truth, of uncomfortable truth, if we want to frame it in that way. But we've adopted this thing, this monster that does monstrous things, right? It killed Tadatsu, into the family. Like, how are we going to hide this? Like, how is the curtain going to stay closed for the sisters, right? It's like, you can't run from it. It's like, it's going to find you. This, by the way, is the insanest thing I've ever seen. Ogi, on her phone, was reading Metamorphosis chapter. The thing that I was yapping about last episode, about Gregor and the bug, turning into the bug guy. I think it's literally from the last passage. So like this thing of, I don't even know this. This is killing me. I don't know, man. Ogi, why are you reading literature here? Because it's like, I think in a fit of rage, probably. I don't even know a fit of what, but I threw my whiteboard. So I can literally read my whiteboard in my notes. Using someone for financial reasons until they stop functioning. True self coming out, losing humanity, self-sacrifice with Gregor, accepting death, and still losing family. So it's like, Ogi, okay. Ogi is reading a story about the result of self-sacrifice, let's say. someone that actually knows literature is going to come in and is going to murder me. It is what it is. And no, I'm going to take your favorite piece of literature and I'm going to be reductionist. Take that, liberal. Yeah. Don't know why I said liberal there. It's just the meme. Okay. Sorry. So the idea is Ogi is worshipping self-sacrifice in a sense because Ogi is reading the story because Ogi is part of Araragi's self-sacrifice drive but its self-sacrifice is not from it's the heroic thing to do, but you're a monster who should die. It's probably both or something, right? No, the connection I'm going for though is Gregor is like a salaryman that takes care of the family and then he turns into a bug as a weight on the family and then dies and then the family is freed from him, right? So it's like Ogi is comparing Gregor to Araragi, of course, right? Like that's the easiest connection I would say, right? So perhaps there's an idea of Ogi wants Araragi to die because Araragi wants Araragi to die and Ogi's an extension of Araragi, probably, maybe, who knows? And so Ogi wants Araragi to die because Araragi can't go back to being human anymore, can't go back to full humanity, so it's like, well, you should die a monster, and then those around you will be freed from your presence, which is an extension of what happened with Sengoku, because Sengoku, he wasn't good at influence for Sengoku, and then was told to never talk to her again. That's like what happens here in freaking Metamorphosis, right, where Gregor the Bugman, we're spoiling this by the way, sorry, Gregor Bugman dies, and the family's freed from him, right? It's better, they're better apart. And just like how Sengoku, right? Araragi is gone from Sengoku's life, and Sengoku's better for it. So it's like, Ogi is now trying to like, I think it's, maybe that's part of the separation. Like, maybe Araragi, it's, because it's like, yeah, like Araragi doesn't see himself as worthy of all the people he's losing. You know, he's not worthy of Hachikuji, he's not worthy of, you know, blah, blah, blah. So perhaps it's even like a thing, like that could be a thing, right? As an idea. So maybe it's like an idea of like, Araragi's not worthy of Ononoki even, and so feels like in the same way that Sengoku's better off without me, Ononoki's better off without me. That's why Ogi makes the situation happen, to kill Araragi off from everyone by destroying those connections. But Ogi, which is honestly probably Araragi's subconscious planning, goes astray because Gain comes in and disrupts that by forcing them to reconnect. So Araragi can't have this, like, they're better off without me thing actually pan out. That's my metamorphosis. That's why I think Ogi might be reading that, because Ogi likes that idea of the bug, the horrible person, the monster that's no longer human, is destroyed and left behind by others. They are like, it's not quite self-sacrifice, but it's more like you get your just desserts of like they're better off without you, and so that's how it will end up, right? All things are made proper. So yeah, that's kind of an idea there. This is literally just I'm gonna pick a random line and read it. Are you ready? She doesn't tell him nothing he underestimates as sincerity lowers his underskirt to avoid a height of his top, and we perceive everything. He tries to intensify under it, but originates with they match your nobody. He can't. And then it's just ChatGPT freaking took other comments, ran them through insane stuff, said make it more verbose, and then also flip it on its legs. I'm not reading that. I'm not. You're trolling. Oh, you think you're a little ding 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 ding. Yeah, that's my response. You paranoid over Ogi is truly the best. I'm glad. It is fun to be paranoid over Ogi. It is fun. Finally got the heart back, character arc. Time stuff at the beginning. Did it just start playing? It did. Hey, you, shut up. Shut up! Back to the comment. Time stuff at the beginning, the time at the end is cool. Lots of time and deadlines and full stops and past and present and future and what's gonna happen next and oops, can I go back in? Araragi is a messed up sleep schedule, bro. True. So do I. Part of walking around at night, bro. Araragi is me. Ononoki and Araragi is similar that they're both between monster and human. So am I. It's just that Ononoki was created... Well, I don't know if Ononoki's stance being in between monster and human is so different. It is kind of funny, where it's like Araragi at this point can't be any more human, but is trying to stop, is like halted from becoming more of a monster. And then Ononoki is a oddity, like full oddity, but is somewhat acting human. So it's like kind of both like self-contradicting. Where like Araragi can't go back to being full human is what's been said to him. And Ononoki can't, of course, be a full human either. So they're both in like this weird little space, which them being together in the Twilight, super cool for that reason. Origami Guy is the same voice actor as Roswell. I had no idea. That's actually crazy. We watched Koyomi next. We're watching Koyomi. Rip Whiteboard True because I fell. Monogatari game for the PSP, even board content. We stream it. Wait, that's actually insane. What? What would the game even be about? Ogi, we got the work cut out. You and me both. You and me both. Terminating, you and me both. Can't wait to meet the other guy. I got no idea what you're talking about. This is in Russian. I think it says in Russian something's named Miki Neko, a collab with a Hololive member, a manga illustrator, social media, VTuber, degenerate illustrate. This is in Russian, but I don't speak that. But hey, speak your truth. Speak your truth. Please tell me Galaxy. I don't know. Maybe one day. Though don't trust me. Don't trust me. There's so many shows. I don't want you to get your hopes up. I could bait y'all. I could say, oh, your favorite show? Oh yeah, I'll watch it. I got bad news. I can't watch most of them. I'm sorry. That's reality. And I could lie to you. Would you want that? Do you want me to lie to you? Huh? Or do you want me to be proper? Do you want me to do Ogi? But no, yeah, it looked cool. It's on the list somewhere. Put it on the list. Okay. People really push for the weird order of Koyomi over Owari, making it needlessly complicated. Monogatari chronologically so out of place, so I wouldn't even care to argue it. But you'll see Owari OPs for the first time out of place. That'll be odd. Isn't that in like? I feel like somebody mentioned something about that being in a later episode. I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, we're just going for it. Light novel order, doubling down on it. It's also because there's like no reactions that have done that, right? Like most of them, like I could the safe move would be to just do what the popular reactions have done. But maybe a narcissistic part of myself, hashtag shout out Araragi, wants to be unique and special in a way and do the light novel order because it's like, oh, look, I'm different and like, oh, blah, blah, blah. So maybe I'm just a narcissistic egoist, shout out Araragi, and that actually is, okay, yeah, I'm losing it. Let's, am I gonna scroll through the last episode at all? No. My answer is no. F it. I'll do it another time. I just, like, it's just, oh yeah, the chocolates, they have sexy time. I'm glad y'all had fun. Dadatsu, rest in peace, you were cool. This maze of, like, construction tape and stuff, which is interesting. Reminds me of that one scene in freaking Hana Monogatari. Maze, we're walking through a maze. That's crazy, and, you know, tunnels, pop idols, choosing. Because, yeah, Ononoki can choose, you know? That's crazy. That's, like, proof of you not being completely a doll to the whims of fate, which kind of gets in the way of how Araragi is. Yeah, that's crazy. It's like, you know what it probably is? Ononoki's like, no, I chose things. I'm not completely a doll. Like, I have the ability to choose, which is against what Araragi's self-projection onto Ononoki is, which then is why he flips the skirt to be like, dang, wait, what's she really about? And then doesn't understand it. Maybe that's what, like, causes him to flip the skirt, where he realizes, like, she's saying that she's not acting like a doll. She's saying things that are un to the whims of fate, being controlled-esque, so I need to figure out what's going on here. But then he can't figure it out because he's a stagnated garbage man. Me too. Okay. So what we're gonna do now is cry. Koyomi 1. So, how am I gonna do this? I think I know how I'm gonna do this. Okay, yeah. So I have the first, we're gonna read the one chapter, I haven't read this yet, of Koyomi episode 1, and at the start of each Koyomi episode, we're gonna do this. I guess is the idea. Or unless I hate this for some reason, then we're not gonna do it, but we're gonna do it at the start here. So yeah, boom. Koyomimonogatari, calendar tale. Oh, because that's the Koyomi, that's his name. Part 1, Nisu-san. Ooh, Hachikuji. Yeah, Karen, Kanbaru, Manakawa, Oh, yeah, old hair Hanakawa, right? Sengoku. Why are we getting all these? Hachikuji's gone. Why are we looking at Why is Hachikuji there? Vertical Calendar Tale Part 1. Let's go with Chukage Nui. Koyomi Stone. Interesting. It looks like Hanakawa and then a calendar. 4th of April. January, February, March, April. So is this 2 months in the future or is this way in the past? Right? Because we're just in Valentine's Day in the last thing in Suki. So where are we? I don't know. Okay. New stuff. You want to know how his... I'm going to read it out loud, huh? It's 3 pages. Bro, why am I so hungry? I literally fed you like 10 minutes ago, bro. Or like a few hours ago. But like, dog, I'm going to eat like a voracious beast after I finish this recording. Okay. You want to know how I was feeling about going to school back around the beginning of April when I had just met Tsubasa Hanakawa and we just been put in the same class? Okay, so this is flashback. This is way in the past. You want to know how I was feeling on the way to school as I trod that path? Well, I wasn't feeling much of anything at all. My feelings as I traveled that road, even the road itself didn't seem concrete to me. I couldn't find any concrete reason for going to school. Get woken up by my little sisters, change into my school uniform, get on my bike, head up to the out-of-my-league private prep school, Naiotsu High. I'd been busy repeating that routine, that homework-like routine of busy work, for 2 years already, but I'd never once considered what that repetition meant, or didn't mean. I think I'm going to do full reads for these and then go back, in the way we usually do these episodes, so let me just say that real quick. Okay. Or no, maybe I should say that I'd given up considering the question ages ago, because no matter how hard I thought about it, I was never going to find an answer. But the same could be said of almost all the young men and women who have the honor of calling themselves high school students in this great nation of Japan, or I expect it could. So I wasn't actually the least bit special in that regard. The truth of the matter is that virtually all the young men and women who, despite having completed their compulsory education, continue to live the life of a high school student who at least superficially attend school of their own volition, can't even discern an abstract meaning in doing so, let alone a concrete one. So it's perfectly understandable that the extremely small number of well-grounded students who do find a sense of fulfillment in their schooling would be left scratching their heads, dumbfounded by the fact that an outsider like me, who must seem to them like some kind of monstrous apparition, would still come to school every day. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm dissatisfied. While when these sorts of thoughts pop into my head, I do find it the tiniest bit disquieting? But no, I'm not dissatisfied. It's not like there's anything else I'd rather be doing or even anything else I could be doing. Me, I'm nothing, but precisely because I'm nothing. The fact that I'm a high school student, high school itself, provides me with the assurance that I'm me. Oh, you really defined about your surroundings. Especially, but you're not even taking responsibility, dude. Particularly because over the spring break before the first term of my senior year, I went through hell. I saw into the very depths of a hell that could very well have made me forget I was a mere high school student and put an end to my school career altogether. It was a spring break that made me unpleasantly aware of the venerability of banal aphorisms like ordinary is happy and nothing beats an uneventful life. Made me unpleasantly aware of it, and that assurance should have been a real lifesaver for me. Nevertheless, as I rode along the road that April, I thought about how strange it was that I still blithely went to school as if bound by some hard and fast rule, as if it was normal, and that after class I went home again the same way. It's funny, having been through that kind of hell, you'd think I'd feel truly grateful for an ordinary life, that I would live each day as if it were my last, but the me that had returned from hell was still just regular old me. They say, danger past and God forgotten, but I guess you forget hell too, once it's past. I asked Hanakawa about it once. Asked her if the fact that I couldn't bring myself to feel grateful for the grace of everyday life meant that I was made out of stone, and this is what she said. What she told me, her face lit up by a wonderfully reassuring smile that, as always, made me wonder if she really did know everything. Of course you can't, Adaragi, because everyday life is something we take for granted. How can you take to heart something you take for granted? There's a road, and you walk down it. That's all. Take it from me. Wow, okay, that was crazy. Dude, his show. Lots of stuff. So, the road itself didn't seem concrete to me. Crazy line. I couldn't find a concrete reason for going to school. For information here, out of my league private prep school is interesting that he's in a private prep school instead of a public school. That means his parents probably force enrolled him into like a high, that's like high expectations, right? Like an example of his parents thinking highly of him because they're putting him in a private prep school, or like wanting a good future for him, which is like him, because, you know, we don't get much of his parents, and so that's like a parent move, right? That he was put there. So indicative of them having high expectations for him, or having expectations of him in some matter, or at least wanting the best of him if nothing else, or for him. Talking about routines is crazy, being weighed down by routines. I mean, I feel that. Like, bro, when I was in high school, and even like right now, like your boys, I'm not right this second, but like your boys in college, you know. Yeah. The routine makes me want to die sometimes. I feel it. So yeah, I feel that there. It's interesting that he says so I wasn't actually the least bit special in that regard. I feel like that's a new thing. I feel like back then when he was like lone wolfing it, walking in like at the beginning of the story, that might have made him feel special. But now maybe in the narration he's like, well, you know, like I'm trying to figure out if that's a change. I didn't even talk about that comment I was talking about change, because I wanted to say like him being worn down could be a change. That's all I'll say. But otherwise, I don't know how much he's changed. So I wasn't actually the least bit special in that regard. Is that him? Is that him? Because I could see a case where back then in school, he actually did think of himself somewhat special for how much he was like pulled out of it, right? But maybe this, like, now we're getting this story later, and it's him going, I wasn't special back then, even if I thought I was. Is there that clause of even if I thought I was? Is that there? I don't know. And that he's like, but now he's like recognizing that because he's realizing that, like, you know, to a degree we're moving along the path of him realizing that he ain't, that like realizing that he's not special. And maybe that's the big lesson. That's the growing up, that you're not special and that you're not a hero. And so you can't just create situations that make you into a hero by using Oogie, or by, you know, that you're just a flawed person trying to figure things out like everyone else. Maybe that's part of the lesson. Maybe that's part of growing up. Superficially, attend school is cool. So it's perfectly understandable that an extremely small number of well-grounded students who do find a sense of fulfillment in the schooling will be left scratching their heads, who must seem to them like some kind of monstrous apparition, would still come to school every day. That is crazy. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm dissatisfied. Because, yeah, I mean, dude, I met people that were like this, that were, like, so into school, and it's like, I hated high school so much. I was miserable in high school. Don't need to get into that, but it was not a good time, right? And so, like, I relate to Araragi in this instance a lot, where it's like, the people that were actually there and like excited for their future and like ready to learn or whatever, and or just were we're having a good school life, like I was like, dude, that's just not me at all. Like, am I crazy to this person for hating it? Like, it's, you know, that this thought I don't think ever really crossed my mind, but I totally get why it might, you know. Yeah, I mean, I was dissatisfied back then, so Araragi, we differ in that regard. Like, I was, you know, but okay, so it's not like there's anything else I'd rather be doing, or even anything else I could be doing. I mean, that's him, like, not taking responsibility, right? Like, again, where he's saying, like, I'm nothing. The only assurance I have that I'm me is that I'm a high school student. And so it's like, you know, like, you're defining yourself based in your situation that you yourself are claiming you have no control over, right? That there's nothing else you'd be, nothing else I'd rather be doing. So I guess he has some control. But, like, he's been enrolled here and he doesn't really want to be here, you know? Like, yeah, but it's like he's saying that there's nothing else there, or like that, like it's him saying, oh, I'm just here because it's school and I kind of have to be to a degree, like that kind of idea is there, right? And so for him to say, and that's my assurance that I'm me, it's like saying my assurance that I'm me comes from something that I myself am only doing because I have nothing else to do. So that's like such a weak self-assurance, like self-existence, that you're defining yourself in something, you're defining yourself in relation to your environment, and your reasoning for being in that environment is super weak and kind of just because you have to be there. So it's like your only assurance of yourself is that you have to be there. Dog, you're literally tripping. Take some responsibility for who you are, man. Like, you're not just a guy. You're not just who you are because of fate entirely, okay? And maybe there is no free will, and maybe everything is fate, and maybe blah, 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 but I don't think that's the right way to live, okay? And if I'm fated to think that's not the right way to live, so be it. I don't know if there's free will. We want to get into that, Araragi? Is that what's got you down? The freaking fate, circumstance, all that kind of crap? Because, dog, I'm not confident in that either. I have no idea. There might be free will, there might not be, right? But I exist as if there is, because I think that's the most, the best way to do it. That just feels right to me, right? And I'm not about to go into that, because then I'm going to be here for 5 hours. And I'm not trying to do that, because you got places to be, you got things to do, okay? Put this into 2 times speed. I feel so bad for taking y'all's time, bro. You know how much time okay. There's just so much to say. That's why concise. I value concise so much because I value your time. Because you're important, man. Woman. Whatever else. Whatever you define yourself as, you're important. Okay? And your time's important. And and so I'm so honored that you would spend even a moment of it here. Even if you just skipped in and you're listening for the last 15 seconds, those are 15 valuable seconds, okay? Then he talks about Kizu. Thank you for talking about Kizu and it being miserable, finally. I feel like you haven't talked about that in Bake and such, right? Like, it took a long time for us to even, get back into a lot of this. So, it took a while for us to talk about Kizu. Now we're going introspection into Kizu a bit. Okay, bet. He made him unpleasantly aware of the aphorisms ordinary is happy and such, like the vulnerable, like a tree. A tree is vulnerable, like the long-lastingness of aphorism. Yeah, like the value, long-lasting value and such, the actual substance behind the banal aphorisms like ordinary is happy and nothing beats an uneventful life. So, he's like, oh, wait a second, that actually has some truth to it. Gotcha. I thought about how strange it was that I still blithely went to school as if bound by some hard and fast rule, as if it was normal, and that after class I went home again the same way. I thought about how strange it was that I did this. You can change it, though, man. Having been through that kind of hell, you'd think I'd feel grateful, but I guess you forget hell, too. I asked Hanakawa about it once. Koyomi stone, as if I was made of stone. This is what she said. Man, stone, unshapable. What she told me, her face lit up by with a wonderful referring to. Of course you can't, Araragi, because everyday life is something we take for granted. How can you take to heart something you take for granted? For granted, like stone. But something we take for granted. There's a road and you walk down it. That's all. Take it from me. It's crazy. She doesn't know what everyday life is like because her life sucked. So even coming from her back then, it's that's wild. PTSD. I mean, it just makes me think of soldier that comes home from war and they have trouble getting back into life and have trouble reintegrating into society. It's kind of like that, which is interesting. Let's jump into the episode. I want to jump into the episode. I want to see how this kind of chapter 1 thing bounces off the episode because I don't need to go too deep into it now if they're about to go into it, right? So let's hit it. Let's go for it. Final season, Koyomimonogatari, episode 1. Frick, I need to... Details. Do you see that? Maybe you just saw that. Where, literally, my freaking file system, it always hits me with thumbnails. Even, you have to set it to details so it doesn't do icons so you don't get spoiled. Crazy to me. So I literally, a bunch of maybe just pop up and I have to avert my vision, bro. It's can we calm down? Okay. Let's jump to this episode. Episode 1. Oh, Koyomimonogatari. 13 minutes. 13 minutes. I can make it. I can make it. I'm eating it. I'm so hungry. I'm actually going to eat a little bit for a second. Give me some crackers, man. Club crackers. Get yourself a snack. Get yourself a drink. I got water and crackers. Basically my diet. Crazy. I was just talking about how much I value your time, and now you're just going to watch me eat crackers? What happened? I'll just eat the one. I'll eat the rest later. Okay, bye. Let's watch this episode. Episode 1 of Koyomimonogatari. Should be exciting. Let's get this going. In. A 3. A 2. A 1. Bang! We've seen this already. Is this the right thing? What is happening? Oh, we're going to change the OP every time. Oh, we changing the OP every time. It says Koyomi. Inside the darkness, Koyomi, yeah. So each episode's going to use a different OP that we've already seen? Is that what we're doing? based on what we're talking about, because this is the introspection arc. This is the introspection arc. The lyrics are different, right? Koyomi Stone. What is happening, man? Because we talked to Hanakawa in chapter 1, so it was about Hanakawa. And I'm pretty sure I saw Hachikuchi's backpack in the little thumbnail of episode like 4 or 5 or something. So that's probably because I think I even recognized that. The lyrics, man. Focus. It's from the Hachikuchi OP, though. It looks like I recognize the frame. That is my ray of light in the darkness. Perfect slumbers. Or, like, what is different? Is it how much of it is the same, bro? I don't want to know the future of my love just yet. Dang, I would really appreciate if people comment what arc this has to do with, because I don't remember the names of all the arcs and which OPs correlate to which arcs, because I'd like to watch them back to back and see the same calendar story and see the similarities, man. I'll look at the I'll chapter 2. See, that was the cut, and we just read that cut, so now we're here. Wow, we've thrown way back. It's been so long since we've been here. I remember that. I'll do it with my lighter here. I dropped it. Okay. Are we gonna get to see Oshino? Know about it since he collects stories like this. Seven Wonders of the School. Is this... Okay, let's just focus. This is crazy. It's because you don't pay attention to anybody else around you, man. Everybody's cut out of your story. Wait, is a ghost story about his tone? What are we talking? Okay. The Seven Wonders of the School. I thought they were people, but no. I'm good now. We're cleared up. We're clear. We're clear. This is why... Right after being told to find Oshino, we're introspecting? Is this our way to find Oshino? To replay, like, he's playing, like, what happened? You know? He's, like, running back through his memories through the past. I wonder if the last one is supposed to be about Owari then. Maybe that's why everyone's freaking out. Probed around the school. What does this have to... It's just a rock. Booba. It's only natural. It's only proper. Stones... Okay. Weird. Is it built around the stone, or is the stone within it? The stone's within it. Yeah, someone put it in there. They're worshipping a iron... They're worshipping immutability. Worshipping, like, stubbornness, almost. Oh, Shino! Shinobu! Dang. What's up, man? It's been so long. Adaragi's really thinking about Oshino when he was told to go find Oshino. He's going back into the past. That's crazy. I think that is... Maybe you worship your... Do you worship your own immutability? Because it's like part of your uncompromisingness of law, of justice. Let's see. Let's see. That's a question for Adaragi that I just posed. Interesting. Or is it Adaragi because it's worshipped? Yeah, chicken and the egg. Chicken and the egg. No? Okay, my fault. or because if it. Wait. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, explain this to me. Hey, Oshino's around to actually explain things. Just from your narration? What? Perhaps surprised by that. What is Shinobu doing back there? That looks like a good picture. That looks like a good picture. Hmm. I swear. I'm gonna lose it if Ogi shows up in any of these. Shinobu's just laying down. Oh, the rock, not the shrine. Ooh, that's cool. It's the apple. It's a reference to that apple thing. "2001: A Space Odyssey." I love that line. Did something good happen? Curriculum? Ignore the ghost studies. Do what you should be doing. I'm hearing background like chatter. Do we hear background chatter usually, or is that new? Or maybe I'm tripping. Hmm. Oh. The ghost story was nothing. Yeah. It was woodworking. Okay. Your pattern recognizing brain is messing, making everything crazy. I think I've seen this stone before. Religious artifact. Yeah. I was like, oh, cool rock. I put a rock in this. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'll put a rock in it. I'll put a rock in my house. Wow. Ooh. Whoa. I kind of liked that. Wow, they both like fixed each other in a sense. Like they both had like in relating to each other, they both changed. Instead of being A to B and or B to A, it's A and B, A to B and B to A. Like both went through that change. I like that. Realized what? Because your art's bad. Let's see. Bye, Aragi. Whoa. He forgot it. He did this. Yeah, he forgot he made the shrine. Oh, but then it got transformed because other people added on to it. So he didn't recognize it. Like, yeah. What? Cheap sweets? He looks like he's wearing a hat in his shadow. Yeah. What? Why was he wearing a hat? Whoa. Whoa. That was a big line. It's just stone. It's just concrete. Okay, actually a new ED though. Oh, it's kind of cute. Monogatari. Wiz, 89-second ver. Let him know. Let him know. What's going through your little noggin, Otterog? Aw, hi Senjo. Okay, I found a way to get rid of my organs. I'm downplaying the flutter I feel this April. Oh, Shinobu! Oh, that's cute. And, like, we go into him and Shinobu's in there. Huh. This is like the reflection arc, man. This is so... Look, he literally looked in his own... Dude, now that he's in... Dude, okay. Reflections. Hachikuchi, hachikuchi, hachikuchi. Reflections, man. He looked in the mirror right when I said the word reflection. That's insane! Sengoku? Man, it's like he's losing so many people. Like, he's looking back now. Why is he looking back? Gone. Okie, okie, okie. I mean, this looks scary. This looks scary. You know, Noki's in the back. Who just smacked him? Somebody just punched him, bro. The shadows grow longer. Yeah, look at him being suffocated. He gets killed. Guys, I don't know anymore. I'm gonna lose it. Okay. What are we doing with these little stories, man? I think my brain had I think my brain hit the max. It's crazy. If this was honestly kind of good, if this was a half-length one, because I don't think my brain was like tapped out already, like when we started. I don't know what, but we're good. So he was the one that made the thing. He's the one that made the little thing for the stone. I'm more interested why we're doing this arc in the first place than why the stone is a stone. You know, blah blah blah. Like, it's like we're going back. Aragi's going back through his memories, through the experiences he didn't tell us about. When he's told to find Oshino, the first place he takes us to is to a memory with Oshino. Like, that's interesting to me. Yeah. But it's introspective as well. Like, he's trying to figure out his own reasons before this. It's very introspective, very reflective, which is interesting considering that he's just, as a vampire, lost the ability to reflect in mirrors, but now he's doing inward reflection. So it's almost like he should, I don't know, you know? What was your wording here? The question isn't whether it's an oddity because it's being worshipped. The question is whether it's being worshipped because it's an oddity. or whether it became an oddity because it was being worshipped. Okay, wait. The question is whether it's being worshipped because it's an oddity, or whether it became an oddity because it was being worshipped. Okay, yeah. And Adaragi's like, why'd you change the phrasing? And then, in this case, perhaps. It's kind of hard to tell just from your narration. It's crazy. And then he asks him about can you draw a picture for me? Is for the express purpose of testing his fine arts capabilities to get to the woodworking part. Because that's why Adaragi's like at all even bringing it up to Ushino's because, well, okay, Adaragi's the one that did it and he just forgot. Like, you know? Which is interesting. I love that shot, by the way. That reference. That something central about it isn't new to me. What I'm most interested in, because this is a very cheeky line, studying is what students should really be doing. It's really saying, like, you're really doing anything except your schoolwork, buddy. You're really doing anything, you know? It's like you're finding the excuse to come talk to me. Like, you know? Which is like, it's almost like you're conjuring your own problems, right? Like what Ogi is maybe doing later, conjuring problems for Adaragi. It's almost like that, kind of, right? Where he's like, this stone is important. Like, I gotta go to Oshino and let's figure this out. But then Oshino's like, dog, you gotta be studying. Like, you made this, Omega lol. And then Hanakawa, like, explains it to him straight up. Like, he's the one that did it. Oh, that's why he had the hat in the shadow. Because the guy that did it had a hat. Adaragi used to wear a bowler hat? Okay. But why, Adaragi? Why did you do this? This I really like. The stone doesn't look like a statue because of the shrine around it. The wooden junk looks like a shrine because there's a stone in it. But the stone also looks like a statue. Both stop failing as their own objects. Is Adaragi looking for a shed as a stone? Or looking for a stone as a shed? Like, does he feel fundamentally incomplete, which is why his attachment to Shinobu and his spot, like, both stop failing as their own objects makes me just think of Adaragi and Shinobu as a human in a oddity, where they were both failing in their individual roles. Like, oddity, like, Shinobu wasn't, I mean, she was literally a vampire trying to, like, kill herself, plus her past with the whole, like, failing as a god thing. Like, she was failing in some senses. Adaragi feels like a self-failing, self-hatred in that way. But then together they stop failing as their own objects because powers combined with the power of an oddity and the morality of humanity, to whatever degree Adaragi does those things, he's able to help people. So they both, like, that's why he's paired up with Shinobu. Like, but they both stop failing together. It's the other way around. They both stop failing. Probably went home after he saw his failure transformed from something bound for the trash into a little shrine, a house, basically. Massive honkers. Now I can relax. Problem solved. The epilogue is what was interesting to me. Obviously, it was I who made it in Word working 2 years ago. I believe that 100%. I was like, I don't think I said it out loud. I don't even know if I really thought it. But when he said this, I was like, yeah, like, obviously. When he said obviously, I was like, yeah, I mean, it is kind of obvious. Like, who else would it be? Just some random denizen? No, yeah. So, true. I agree with this completely. And didn't take it home with me, but left it in the flower bed. Destined for the trash, but instead transformed into something somewhat of value, but through its connection with something else. But then he goes in and destroys it again. Why is he destructive of this? What's in this trash? There's a broom? There's a broken broom? It almost looks like Ononoki in the bottom left. It's just a garbage sack. I'm sorry, Ononoki. I'm recognizing her in the trash. Those were Shino's words, true. They were cheap sweets, but the stone came a long way. What? There's no disputing that. And perhaps my thoughtless action turned the stone into an oddity. It's not even a stone, it's a piece of concrete. It's just a slab. It's just doing its thing. Perhaps it turned from a normal stone into the stone statue I needed. And then that's why he's got the bowler hat, because he realizes he was the one that put it here. And from there into an abnormal oddity. Turns it into what I needed into an oddity. So he's recognizing, it's like recognizing the creation of an oddity because of his own needs, right? Which I think is accurate, which I think is a level of introspection that's relative to what's been going on in the last couple of arcs, you know? I think this is the introspection arc, and so I think everything's applying to the last couple of arcs. Like, I think this is what that was doing, you know? Yeah. Perhaps that's what happened. Perhaps. But can I trust your introspection? In light of that, going to school without direction can have real consequences. Bro, I feel this literally showing up, like, gliding through life, and then just doing a random thing, like putting a freaking stone in a box. I feel that. That's something I'd do. I'm sure I've done that kind of stuff. I decided to go back to the classroom and ask Hanakawa. Whether being unable to appreciate normality meant that I was like stones and wood. It's crazy comparing, like, I was like stones and wood. I mean, the tree thing, right? The whole tree thing with Araragi of wanting to be a tree. This feels like a precursor to that, right? Or like a tangentially related thing to that. And then just ends. No, he realizes it's concrete. But then he realizes his own bias. Look, he realizes, I just wanted it to be a stone to make it into something natural, but really it's concrete, it's man-made. Right? Like, he was trying to make it into a wood and stone thing, like an of-the-earth thing, but then he realizes it's actually concrete. Is that him recognizing, like, dang, I'm projecting my own biases onto things? Is that a level of introspection? I think it might be. It's interesting. I don't know. Okay. Honestly, there's a lot more I want to talk about with this. Let me watch some more. I feel like I need to give it another watch, honestly. Because it's short, so I can kind of do that. And I don't want to just... Something... Tempo, blah, blah, blah. But it's also short, so maybe I'm just used to needing to think a lot more. So I feel weird about the time being, like, you know? Maybe that's it. What are we talking about? What's going on? A stone statue. A calendar story. Why did we have this OP? Was the lyrics different? It was, right? My love softly... Was the dark... No, it's the same. What is happening? Bro. This is the introspection arc. Okay, this is the introspection arc. I'm done. I'm finished. No, I'm finished. I've hit brain cap. I've hit brain cap like 30 minutes ago. That's where we're at. That's where they're at right now. The plan is we're going to look at the ED. We're going to analyze that next episode. We're going to figure out if we want to do these double. We're kind of probably just see where we're at. Definitely not doing a second one right now. I can tell you that much. Your boy's fried. I'm very ready for what this arc does. I feel like I have some decent ideas of why we're here, which I like, you know? So, but I want to see what they do with it now that I kind of think I'm somewhat primed for it. Hopefully, maybe that's me being for a Shirley moment, but we'll just see. But I do think that's all I got for this episode, this first half episode of Koyomimonogatari episode 1. On to the next Koyomimonogatari episode 2. Of course, if you liked the episode, like video, so if there's anything new, notification bell, subscribe, give me likes, give me attention, go to my socials, donate money, give me everything, give me your firstborn child. Everything is for me. That's the end of this episode, episode 1 of Monogatari. On to the next episode 2. Should be saying, that's good for now. I'll be seeing you then. Peace.